All right, so good morning, everybody. My name is Bob Salvis. I know a lot of you from attending sessions in the past or classes and or interacting with you on the phone. I am the professional development manager at the Rhode Island Builders Association. I've been the professional development manager there since 2019. Just some of my background is I started my working career working for the United States Postal Service. I got involved in direct mail. I started my own marketing company. I went on to be a volunteer at SCORE. SCORE, for those of you who don't know, is the Service Corps of Retired Executives. It's a volunteer group under the Small Business Administration that gives back, donates some of their time and expertise to the small business community free of charge to help build the small business community in the state of Rhode Island. So very proud of my work there. For 8 years at SCORE Rhode Island, I was the seminar coordinator. And so now I'm the seminar coordinator here at REBA. So I keep doing the same thing because I know the value of education. I know that small businesses, whether it's in the contractor industry or outside of the contractor industry, needs as much help as we can give them. So that's what SCORE is. That's what we're trying to do at REBA for our industry, and that's why we're all here today. So that's the quick background. The other thing is, you know, with all that background, whether it's the post office or marketing company or SCORE, in every one of those, I had the opportunity to exhibit at a trade show. So in the post office, we had this thing called the National Postal Forum. At SCORE, we did all of the regional shows. We did the Small Business Expo back in the 1990s. We did the Ocean State Expo. There's so many different events that we did, and I got to really understand the benefits of having a trade show booth. And also, I went on as a SCORE representative and developed an entire class series on how to get the most out of a trade show. And so this is a modification of that. I've obviously updated it and slanted it a little bit towards our industry. So we're going to start today. Well, we're going to talk about two things. Okay, first, we're going to talk about why trade shows and expos are so important to your marketing mix for your business. That's number one. Then number two is we're going to talk about how to get more out of it, maybe than you've gotten out of it in the past. Some of the key things that you want to pay attention to in order to have a successful outcome after a trade show. So we're going to start today with discussion about a bank robber. Seems appropriate. So the bank robber that I want to talk about, his name is Willie Sutton. Willie Sutton was born in 1901 in America, in Brooklyn, New York, actually. And he went on to become a very famous bank robber. Okay. They say during his time, he died in 1980, but during his time as a bank robber, he robbed close to $2 million, which in the early 1900s was actually real money, right?
Hey, Bob.
So,
hey, quick question. Your slide hasn't gone forward.
I know.
Oh, okay. I'm ahead of you. Sorry, because I saw the slide with him on it. That's why I threw me off.
I'm getting there.
All right, sorry. Shut up. I'll shut up.
And so Willie Sutton, you know, he was bank robber, and he was infamous, of course. But he became more famous from a quote that he was attributed to, which actually he said he never said, but that's okay. Legend has it that a reporter asked Willie Sutton the question, "Why do you rob banks?" Of course, it's not going to do it now, Bill, because you said.
I jinxed you. Sorry.
You jinxed me, man. Come on.
I'm sorry.
All right, we'll try again.
Oh,
all right.
Oh.
There we go.
There we go.
Willie Sutton. He was asked the question, "Why do you rob banks?" And his answer was, "I rob banks because that's where the money is." And it was, you know, kind of a humorous response to the question. But a lot of people did notice that response, and they started calling it the Willie Sutton rule. So it actually, you see the Willie Sutton rule appear even in things like medicine and business and law. And what it really means is, before we get too complicated in what we find to be an answer for a problem, we should look at the most obvious thing, right? It's the path of least resistance, the most obvious course of action. If money is your goal, if banks are where the money is, right? So Willie said, I rob banks because that's where the money is. So he's stating the obvious. So if Willie Sutton was a business owner in this industry and he was wanting to grow his business, he might respond, I attend trade shows because that's where the people is. So, and if you think about this for a second, the main goal to grow a business is to have more customers. And those customers are people. And there's a whole bunch of people that go to trade shows. So the path of least resistance, or the most obvious course of action to growing a business, is to actually exhibit at a trade show. But let's back up, because what we really have to discuss here and have to understand, and not everybody, like Bill and I have more of a marketing background, but a lot of people on this call or who watch this recording later may not have a deeper understanding of marketing. So I'm going to simplify marketing for you, very down to the real nuts and bolts. Marketing 101. Marketing 101 is comprised of the 3 M's of marketing: market, message, and media. Okay, what does that mean? Market is who is buying your product, or who can buy your product, or who needs your product. If no one wants or needs your product, you probably should shut your business down, right? You're in the wrong business. So you must have a target market. And by the way, target market can never be everyone. I know a lot of business people, they want to appeal to a lot of different people. So I say, who's your best prospect? Who's your target market? And a business will answer, well, everybody is. That's not true. Okay. Especially in this industry, because if you guys are doing actual hands-on work, you're not going to advertise in California, unless you really want to retire there, you want to build a base there or something. It's going to be local, right? So at the very least, you're going to be localized. So there is always a way to refine that target market, but you have to figure out who your target market is and have an idea of what that looks like. So number 1 is your target market. Number 2 is your message. So if the target market is your customer or prospective customer, then your message is you, right? You are your business. So what you sell, how you represent what you sell, who you are, what your brand is, if you want to use a marketing term, what's the name of your company? Do you have a logo, any visuals? These are all things that comprise your brand or your message. What is your message? So now what are you telling the people in number 1, right? Number 1 is your target market. These are the people that need what you're selling, hypothetically at least, need what you're selling. What are you telling them about what you have to offer to be the solution to their problem, or to fulfill that need? What are you telling them? Are you a window company and you're telling them that you do the best windows in town? Are you a roofing company? What kind of roofs do you do? Your guarantee. All of that is part of your message to your target market. All right, so now we get down to number 3, and number 3 is the tricky one, right? Because number 3 is the media that your message travels in. So just for example, let's think of this in terms of like a vehicle. So you are putting your message into a car, right? What kind of car is that? Where's that car going, right? The media is the vehicle that carries your message to your market. And that's where a lot of businesses get confused. And this is where marketing consultants, like the stuff that I used to do, go crazy, because we'll ask somebody, okay, what have you done for your marketing? And they'll say, well, just for example, they'll say, yeah, I tried direct mail and that didn't work. Well, why didn't it work though? Right? Because did you have the wrong message? Was it going to the wrong target market? Or was it just a bad choice of media? to carry that message to that market. So there's a lot of different parts to this to figure out what went wrong. So you may have said to yourself, I did a trade show once, I got nothing out of it. Well, was the right prospects in the attending the trade show? Were they in the room? Were they there? What was your message to that market? And, so did you do the media correctly? Right? There's a right and wrong way to do the media. So all those things combined is what equals success, but you have to do them all correctly. And the media is the one that most businesses focus on. And to be honest with you, the one most businesses make a mistake on, because they'll just say, okay, the guy comes through the door, he's selling print ads in the magazine. Is like, okay, here's some money. And there he goes. And you think, well, he knows what he's doing, so I'm going to get some business out of this. And then lo and behold, you don't. Well, maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you had the wrong message. Maybe it was the wrong magazine. A lot of different things. So let me tell you how this could work in a non-industry sense. So back when I was way back before the internet even, I know there was such a time when the internet didn't exist.
In the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, right. Poindexter. We'll go back in the Wayback Machine. All right. So back before the internet existed, if I was, and this actually happened, right? So I met with a lady who was opening a dog grooming business, right? It was a retail business, walk-in business. And so she wanted to get people to come in and use her services. So what we did was we created a postcard campaign. I got a mailing list of all the people. She was located in Johnston, Rhode Island. I got a mailing list of all the people in Johnston, Rhode Island who owned dogs. Because let's face it, if you don't own a dog, then you're not going to be a prospect. You're not going to be a target market for somebody who's a dog grooming business, right? It's common sense, right? So you only go to the dog owners. So we would do a mailing list, get a mailing list of all the dog owners in the town of Johnston, send them a postcard, maybe with some kind of offer to come in for the first, free cut or discounted cut or whatever, and try to build her business that way. And that was fine. And that shows you how we used the three things. The market was dog owners in Johnston. The message was, come on in, we're a new business, we're open, we'll give you a discount. And number three was the postcard that went into the people's homes. Okay, very simple. This is marketing 101. Now, the Rhode Island Builders Association is having the home show. Hopefully, some of you, hopefully all of you are aware of the home show, and some of you on this call or listening to this recording are actually going to be exhibiting at the home show. And if you are, we want to support you as much as possible. But let's think about what is the target market of the home show. Remember, we're talking about the market, the three parts of marketing, right? All right, the market, the people who come to the home show, generally speaking, are going to be local. They're going to be usually mostly from Rhode Island, some from Mass, probably, right? Most of them are going to be homeowners. Why else would you come to the home show? You're doing something, you're either buying something from your home, you want to fix something on your home, you want to redecorate, remodel, add an addition, get a pool, whatever you want to do. You want to do something for your home. So most of them are local, most of them are homeowners. Most of them actually, we did some research on this. The majority of the people that come to the home show are actually making six figures. So they have money, generally speaking. They probably wouldn't be at the home show if they didn't have money to spend, because they're looking to spend money. And then number four is the critical piece here. People who come to remember, the home show is not free for the attendees, right? They actually, there's a small fee they have to pay. I think it's like $8, $10, whatever it is, right? To come into the home show. So it's not like you're not going to get just people off the street. You got people who are going to come and pay an entry fee. They have skin in the game. They're there looking for something. Sometimes they don't know what they're looking for. Sometimes they may not be looking for what you sell, but they're looking for something. And that's what makes this target market even better than the dog grooming business that I gave you in the last example. Because in that dog grooming business, we knew who owned the dogs, but we didn't know who needed the service, right? There was no way of telling who was dissatisfied with their current groomer or who didn't have a groomer yet, right? No way of knowing that information. But here we know that the people who come to the home show are looking for something. So that's an advantage to you. They're local, they're homeowners, they got money, and they're looking to spend it, right? So this is a perfect target market if you sell something that target market needs or wants, right? That makes that a perfect market for you. All right, so that's the market. That's who's going to be there. That's a very important piece of this, because if you don't have the right market attending the home show or any show that you go to, then really it can be a colossal waste of time. All right, so let's talk next about the media. Why is a trade show a good? Because some of these other things, you can find these other things, especially nowadays, right? With digital marketing, there's so many things you can do, right? You do Facebook advertising. You can lead accumulation websites. There's a ton of stuff that you can do and still kind of get to that same target market that we have listed there. Why would you pick a trade show? Why is a trade show a good option for you? Deborah Shane, who's an author and a marketing brand strategist, I love this quote by her. She said, "In 10 minutes, I can learn more about someone and they about me in person than I can in 6 months online." Now that's kind of a stunning thing if you think about it. This is all about being face to face, belly to belly, as some people would say, right? You are in the presence of somebody else, and that is a better relationship building tool than anything else. And I know we're just coming out of COVID. And in fact, the fact that we're coming out of COVID means that people are more anxious to get out there because they miss that part of their lives. We can't do everything like this. This is nice. This is convenient because we get to learn something today by Zoom, the convenience of our home. I'm drinking my coffee, my Christmas mug. You see that? See that, Bill? I got a Christmas mug. So, this is fun, right? But something big like a exhibition or a trade show or an expo, this is where you want to touch the product. You want to get face to face with people. You want to shake their hand. You want to do all those things that are interactive, and you will build your relationships faster. They've done a lot of studies, especially since COVID, about the difference between in-person interactions and virtual interactions. Number one, full attention. All right, now I'm not going to accuse anybody of checking their email while I'm talking, but as well as me, listen, I'm human too, right? This little thing goes off, beep, beep, beep. What do? I look down at it, right? Don't we always? There's a lot of distractions, and you can get away with it in a virtual kind of conference like this is. But when you're face to face with somebody and your cell phone rings, you know that it's kind of rude just to look down at it, right? So you tend to give people more of your full attention. Also, nonverbal cues. Their body language is a huge thing. You can't always get that. You might get some of it, like the tonality of my voice or my hand movements. You might get some of my nonverbal cues, but reality is you can't get all of them unless we're in person. Studies now that they've done since COVID have shown that being in person is better for relationship building. It's a better experience. People consider it more of a positive experience, and it also builds trust quicker. Oh my goodness! If there's one thing we need in this industry, it's the trust of the people that we're trying to get their business. Because let's just face reality. There's a lot of money that people, if they're doing something big like a kitchen redesign or adding an addition or getting a pool, I don't know what it is, but these are big ticket items. They have to trust somebody with this big pile of money they're going to give you, and you want to build that trust as quickly as possible. Even if it's a lesser amount of money, there's still trust because there's a feeling and a culture in this industry on the consumer side that says that contractors, you got to be careful about them, right? Everybody's heard the horror stories. They every time there's a horror story, they show it on the news, right? Doesn't do our industry any good. But you have to fight that. That's just the perception that's out there. You have to fight that. So how can you fight that? You build trust, and trust does not happen any quicker than an in-person interaction. where you get to verbalize, show your enthusiasm for your industry, show your expertise, show your friendliness. You can do it, but you have to do it in person to get the most out of it. So that's the biggest advantage for a trade show versus some other type of marketing, even if it's really good marketing. All right, so tradeshownetwork.com is a good resource for those who may want to get more information about trade shows, more stats and statistics. That's where I got a couple from today. But interesting facts. Why do businesses participate in trade shows and expos? Well, you might be surprised to hear that the number one reason is not to do direct business at the trade show or expo. The number one reason is to raise awareness of the company and the brand. Now, ultimately, raising awareness of a company, especially if it's a newer company, and the brand of that company will eventually lead you to business. I mean, that's the big game plan, right? But this is a great trade shows and expos represent a great opportunity, especially if you're newer to the market. So those of you who are newer contractors, if you're on this call, this is a great way to establish yourself as a real player in this industry, right? The great way to get your name out there. A lot of people will see your name, will see your logo, will have a conversation with you. And that is a great way to kick off your business. But a lot of you, and especially those who have been around for a little bit, will look at number two. And the number two reason why businesses exhibit at trade shows and expos is because they're looking for business. They're looking to meet new buyers, get leads and prospects, and in some cases, depending on what your product or service is, they may make a sale right at the booth. If you have a smaller item that can be sold right at the booth, you can sell it right there, right? Or if you have something bigger, like a lot of us do in this industry, where we're doing, those additions or, siding or whatever it is that we're doing, and we can make an appointment from there to go out and see the customer's home and give them an estimate of some kind. So it's number two. The number two reason to exhibit at a home show or any kind of show is to get leads, get new prospects, new buyers. Number three reason is to see current clients. Now, this is kind of an understated one. You don't think about this, but this one's really important. And I don't want you to dismiss this, because so many businesses, they'll go into a trade show saying, I got to get new clients. Number two, got to get new clients. Great. Do not dismiss the opportunity to meet face to face with a current client or a former client, because these people have the opportunity to give you additional business and referrals. And getting face to face with them is something you don't have as much of an opportunity to do, especially in today's world, right? So if you have clients and you have vendors, if you have hot prospects or you have friends in the industry, let them know that you're going to be at this trade show and what your booth number is, so that they'll stop by, because you want to have that face-to-face interaction. Say hello, shake hands, say how you doing. It's really important for relationship building. And that's what you want. You want to show customers, hey, yeah, we're still in business. We're still looking for business because we're at a trade show. And if you know somebody, you did business with us in the past. So if you know somebody, you can refer them with confidence, because we're still out here doing good work. Simple. And number four, this one also should not be underplayed, is networking. Bill's shocked that I mentioned networking. Well, I do an entire class on networking. And I will tell you, we just, as of yesterday, scheduled the next one, which is going to be February 23rd. So for those of you who want to be better at networking, please jot that date down. We haven't announced it publicly yet, but that's going to be the date.
You heard it here
23rd.
first.
Go ahead. What's that?
I said you heard it here first.
There it is. You're the first ones to know. February 23rd will be a 2.5-hour session on how to network. And networking, listen, you're going to be if you come to the home show, you're going to be at a trade show that has a lot of your peers a lot of people that are in complementary industries to you, and you can form relationships with those people, not only to improve your knowledge, but also as somebody that you can refer your customers to. If somebody has a service that you don't do, and they ask you about it, and also inversely, the people that you meet might be able to refer you. There's just a lot of good that can happen in networking. And Bill and I, we met through networking years ago, and we've been longtime friends and associates since then. So it's a great way to just kind of build up your Rolodex of people and friends and industry associates, and you'll be shocked how much you will learn and benefit from networking. But this is another networking opportunity, is this show. So you want to get to the show early, and before the people come in, and network around with your fellow exhibitors. So those are the 4 primary reasons why most businesses attend a trade show or expo. All right, so the question now is, after you kind of know, all the whys of all this, the question now becomes, should you personally, your company, should you actually do this? Should you attend a trade show or expo? Should you attend the home show? So the first question you have to ask yourself is, okay, do I have something to sell? Because to me, that's the best time to be in a trade show, when you have something to sell. Now, we did see in the previous slide that a lot of companies do this for brand awareness, but like I told you, even in that one, the long game there for them is to sell something. They want people to be aware of their product. Maybe people won't buy it right away because they don't know the company, but they're just kind of making a splash. So if you have a product or service that you're selling, that's checkbox number 1. Other times, if you don't have a product or service that you're actually wanting to sell and grow your business, sometimes people use trade shows as kind of a focus group, right? So, hey, we've got this new product. Here's how it works. Touch it, feel it. Tell us what you think of it, and use that feedback that you get for product development or service development. But primarily, it's to sell stuff. All right. So if you have product or service to sell, check that box. Number 2 is the target market. Are the attendees who are going to be there, are they in a position to use what it is that you are selling? So in other words, do you have the right target market? Well, as I discussed earlier, the target market for the home show is pretty much in line with what most of you do, I would think, right? If we're in the residential building space, if we're a contractor, then we're going to be selling things to residents who own homes. Those are primarily the people that are going to be in attendance. So if that's what you do, if you're listening to this and that's what you do, then I think check mark on number 2, as far as the target market being appropriate for you to exhibit at the trade show. And the last one's a little bit harder. So are you ready for this? Right? It's like, whew, it's a lot easier to pay that. Remember the old days of the yellow pages, right? And guys would walk in and here's the order form and pay me a whole bunch of money and I'll take care of everything. I'll put your ad in the yellow pages, or, in a modern context, SEO or, Facebook ads or whatever you want to do, right? Whatever it's so easy as a business owner to say, here, take some money, go make me more customers. And you kind of push that off to somebody else. This requires your complete attention. This is not something you can just write a check for. You have to be invested in this opportunity. You, your company, your staff, everything across the board. So number 1, you're going to need the materials. So you're going to need the backdrop. You're going to need any handout materials, anything, examples. If you're a bricklayer and you have fancy bricks, you bring a couple of bricks, right? I mean, whatever the materials are, you're going to need. There's usually a cost to them, and you got to transport them, right? Personnel, huge. Do not send one person to a 4-day trade show. You will be killing that person. It's just not, it's not fair to them. And it also is going to mean you're going to get less out of it, because there's no way that one person can be up all the time and be pleasant. And we're going to talk about that later on and how to be more successful at a trade show. But take the personnel and spread them out, and everybody has to take turns and all that stuff. It can't just be one person. The high cost to a trade show like the Rhode Island Home Show is, if you don't have like a backdrop or exhibit stuff, you would have to purchase that. Obviously, you have to purchase the space at the trade show. You can get a better space, like a corner space, for more money. And how you look at that and where you think the benefits are to doing that sort of thing. There are also soft costs, because remember, if you've got your personnel tied up in a home show for 4 days, well, it's not just the fact that the hard cost of paying them, but it's a soft cost of what you or your personnel missed doing when they were there, right? So are you, and listen, a lot of us are very busy in this industry, so it's not unusual for us to, for people to say, I just, I can't even afford to go to a class. Right? I don't have enough time to go to a class, right? So we hear that all the time. That's why we started recording these things. But understand that this is a commitment. It is a commitment that's going to pay off if you do it correctly, but you have to be able to understand where your total costs are. And that means if you're putting things on the back burner, or giving responsibilities to other people who are covering at your office, then that's what you have to do. But factor in all those costs. Also, a big factor is, will you be able to follow up after the show? Because it's not just the 4 days of the show, right? That's a big time suck right there. It's like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. But now, right after the show, it's like the show doesn't end, you go to Jamaica, right? It's not the way it works, right? The show ends, boom, you got to follow up. And the faster you follow up, the more successful you'll be. Problem is, nobody feels like following them because they're exhausted from doing this home show or whatever the expo or trade show is, right? But it's an important part of this, and you must be dedicated to doing it. Otherwise, you will be less successful. You'll definitely be less successful if you do not do it. If for some reason you look at this list and you say, you know what, I'm not really convinced that I'm going to do a home show this year. I'm not sure that I have the staff or the money or whatever. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I would be disappointed, because I think this is a great opportunity. This is going to be probably one of the best home shows we've had in a long time. Now, last year was like the first one out of COVID, so you still had some, sketchiness about some people didn't want to go out. But this year, I think we're going to be full tilt. By the spring, some of this, seasonal flu stuff will be going away, and we'll be we'll be ready to roll. So this is going to be a great home show, and you definitely should be part of it. If for some reason you cannot be part of it, or you cannot exhibit at it, I would strongly urge you to attend it. Go as a consumer and get the vibe for what it is. And this is true not just of the home show, but any big show that you're thinking about exhibiting at. Go to it, and then you can better plan for having a successful show next time by seeing what other people are doing to get attention of people, seeing how other people are interacting. You will get a lot from just attending a show from the perspective of, okay, what do I like that some of these guys are doing? And then you can replicate some of the things that you see that you like. Hey, these people, they had a couple people, they were very friendly, they were young, they were all dressed up. I really like that. Make yourself a couple notes, and then you can use that as you go forward and prepare for the home show or whatever show that you're doing in the next year. All right, if you're on the fence, here's an interesting fact to consider. This one, again, from the tradeshownetwork.com. They did some analysis on face-to-face meetings and meetings at a trade show. And what they came up with was, obviously people who are smarter than me figured all this out, but it's the cost of a face-to-face meeting, the average, this is obviously averages, right? The cost of an average face-to-face meeting with a prospect at a trade show is approximately $142, where the cost of that same face-to-face meeting at the prospect's office is $259. So that should tell you something. When you start thinking about the expense of a show, right? And that's what we talked about in the last slide. How much it's going to cost you, the soft cost, the hard cost, the time, everything, right? The materials, all that stuff is money, right? It's definitely money. But ultimately, what are you doing to get that meeting at the prospect's home or office? What are you actually doing? How much work is going into it? And the chances are that there's an awful lot that lead up to that. And all of that costs money that you just don't necessarily quantify, right? So look at this analysis as being proof positive that the benefit of that. And if you believe in the face-to-face benefit, I think a lot of you do. I mean, a lot of the people that I've met in this industry, they get the face-to-face thing, right? They really understand it because they're tangible people. They want to be, they don't, these people, it's great that you're here, but I mean, a lot of people in this industry, they hate to sit in front of a computer screen, right? It's like they want to get out into the world. They want to touch the bricks. They want to work in the elements of the weather. These are face-to-face type people. So most people in this industry get that when I'm face-to-face with somebody, it's a better interaction. And if you understand that and buy into it, which I think a lot of people in this industry do, then the face-to-face meeting is important, and you're going to get more value at a lower cost per person to meet face-to-face with people at a trade show than you will any other way. So that's something to kind of hopefully, if you are on the fence, I think it's an alarming figure. I didn't think it was going to be that much of a difference, but it really is. So let's say you've decided that you want to get a booth at a trade show or the home show. But so now what do you do? All right, let's talk about some strategies now. This is the end of the why portion of why you should do this, and we'll move on into the how, right? We'll dive a little bit deeper into how to be successful at a home show. All right, the first thing is your pre-work. Nobody knows that you're exhibiting unless you tell them, right? So this is really about the marketing it's like the marketing that happens before the marketing, like the game before the game. Bill and I will play a chess game and we'll have some conversation and we'll jab each other a little bit. And that's the game before the game, right? Right.
Yep.
That's the pregame, right? It's yep. So marketing is communication, right? And you have to send out marketing messages about your participation in this event. And so that should be part of, if you're in your regular marketing, you do print ads or direct mail or email, you have an email newsletter, whatever you have, make sure as early as possible, as soon as you get your booth number, that you put that information into the communications that you have with your prospects and your clients and let them know, hey, please visit us at booth 142 at the Rhode Island Home Show on March 30, whatever the dates are, right? So do that, because that is going to make people aware. Even if they don't come, listen, even if they don't show up, they say, wow, ABC Construction is at the home show. That, these guys are really successful. It puts you in a different place in their mind. Like, wow, you're at the home show, you're doing well. This is a good company. You're not a fly-by-night company if you're at the home show, right? So put those messages out there. It'll drive more traffic to your booth. It'll give you better recognition, and even the people who don't come will think more highly of your company when they see that you're going to be exhibiting at this kind of show. Now, that's your general marketing, kind of like your broadcast marketing. Let everybody know you're coming. Everybody and his brother should know you're coming, right? Your employees, family, everybody. Just tell everybody. Number two here is to have more of a private communication with people who are good customers, your existing customer base, and somebody who's maybe a real top prospect, somebody you're really cozying up to, you want to get business, or maybe they're a good referral source for you, right? Any one of those things, somebody who's really important to you, send them a private message saying, hey, stop by our booth, number 142 at the Rhode Island Home Show. We have a special gift for you if you come. Now, you got to get the gift, right? So you make sure that you buy it. Don't be getting the pen, okay? That's not a gift.
Or the stress ball.
Oh, this right. Yeah, you know where I was going. How many stress balls can we give away at a trade show? Don't some of that stuff is just tchotchke stuff, and I mean, sure, a pen's useful, but it's not a gift. Let's face it, right? Unless it's maybe a AT cross or something. But get a nice gift. Now you can get a branded gift, so you can get something with your logo on it. That's fine, but make sure it's a higher quality gift, because now you're going to be associated with that gift. If you have, there's a lot of things. And it doesn't even have to be a branded gift. I've seen people give out, nice tool sets, or all kinds of things. But higher quality is important, because now if you send me a private message and I'm one of your good customers or one of your good referral sources, and I show up at this thing and it's, hey, here I am, and you don't hand me something that's high quality, then it's going to lessen my opinion of you, right? So you want to, if you really appreciate me as a customer, as a potential customer, as a valued referral source, you want to give me a nicer gift. Now, for those gifts, obviously you keep them under the table, so people don't walk away with them. They think it's the snatch and grab show here. Well, look what you got. I'm going to take one of those. So put them in a different area, so that as people come up who are customers, you can even wrap it, if you want. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is, if you've decided to attend the show, and this hopefully is, I mean, we're actually doing this session in December, so we still have a solid 3 full months before the show takes place. Now is the time to register for your booth at the Rhode Island Home Show. And why is that? Well, if you've made the decision to exhibit, the earlier that you register, the more frequently you're going to show up on a list of who's coming. And a lot of times those lists are made public by the people who run these trade shows and expos. And that gives you the opportunity to get some eyeballs on the fact that you're going to be at the trade show. So just in the same way that I said, tell everybody tell your family, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, everybody that you're going to be at the trade show. Same thing happens here, is get on the list of exhibitors at the trade show, so people know that you're going to be there. People may see that list and say, oh, look, ABC company is going to be at the trade show. I have to stop by their booth. Or they see the list in the same way as number 1. They think, oh my goodness, they're at the trade show. They're doing really well. They're a really good company. So register early. That'll get you a little bit of extra marketing. Number 4 is speaking and demonstrations. So occasionally at some events, there are speaking or demo events that happen either at your booth or at a separate area. Okay, so look into those opportunities. They can be greatly beneficial. I've seen a lot of the demos I've seen are right at the booths, right? So people get a bigger booth, and they got guys. I've seen the guys with cooking utensils and all this other stuff, right? And it's like he's a chef. He's got the little mic on. It's like a show, right? You're watching a TV show. You're live. He's flipping burgers or whatever he's doing, right? It's fun, and it's a way that all of a sudden, like, crowds start to gather around. You're looking for attention at these trade show booths. People start to gather around. They want to see, what's going on here, right? There's activity going on. If your booth isn't big enough to do that, and you're doing it in a separate area, that's fine too. But you just make sure if you're doing a speaking engagement or a demo in an area that's not your booth, that you tell everybody, hey, go to our booth 142, and that's where you can pick up more information about what I just did, something like that, right? So if you're at your booth, great, because you've got a captive audience. If you're not at your booth, make sure you send them to your booth after that demo or that speaking engagement. And then the last one is social media is huge at these things. You know, if you're on social media at all, you know, while you're at the show, put it out there that you're at the show. You know, take a little video. I don't. Is Twitter still big for this, Bill?
Not as big. I mean, people are still using Twitter, but one of the big things is people doing Facebook Lives.
Oh, the live videos through Facebook.
Yeah, doing live video. Like you're talking about getting on Facebook or on Instagram or even TikTok. For some people using TikTok nowadays, but go on live and say, "Hey, I'm down at the home show. Come on down and visit me." You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and any kind of post. I'm sure there'll be a hashtag for the show. Probably.
Sure.
Our hashtag Rhode Island Home Show. You put that in there, and then people who are just searching to find information on the home show, your post can come up. So again, It's not just the people who are connected to you via Facebook or whatever social media platform you're on, but also by putting the hashtag in there, you can get out to a wider audience and then say, hey, Bill Parmentier is at the home show. I got to go see him. So things like this can be beneficial. And it also, people get that FOMO, right? Mm-hmm. It's like fear of missing out. So let's say, actually, I did one last time because Owen, our friend Owen, he was there, and he did a little like 1 minute interview of me of the home show. So he's interviewing me. He says, "Hey, what's this all about?" And I give him the quick down and dirty about the home show. And in the background, you see all the people is it going on. I'm excited as I'm telling them. And now, if you see that video on Facebook and you say, "Wow, I'm missing this," right? You get that fear of missing out, and that can drive additional people to come to the home show that maybe either forgot about it, they got distracted, they didn't know about it, whatever the case may be. That could drive additional people to see you and to see the home show in general. Any other comments on that, Bill?
The only other thing I would add is you have it there before, during, and after, but the before is big. You should be doing like a countdown, like a couple of days before. 2 days we'll be at the home show. 3 days we'll be at the home show. Do that consistently on social media leading up to it, because now people are going to be constantly reminded. It's not too much to do it once a day. Just say, hey, 3 days we'll be here, 4 days. Maybe you start like a week out. You know.
Yeah, no, that's a great thought, and that also builds the anticipation. It's
exactly.
Kind of like the marketing before the marketing, right?
Agreed.
If you see your booth as a marketing thing, and as well you should, then this is again the marketing before the marketing. It's like, okay, we're going to be 7 days, 6 days, 5 days, booth 142, whatever it is. Make sure you get that information out there. So good stuff. All right. Anybody have any questions so far? So anything that's come up?
I didn't have anything in the chat. If anybody has a question, you can feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand, and I'll call on you.
All right. Well, we'll press on. All right. So the first thing, this is kind of like the pregame. This is what you do. The marketing before the marketing. You let people know that you're going to be there, because they don't know unless you tell them. Now, let's talk for a minute about signage. So you need to have visuals in your booth. And this industry is probably one of the top industries for needing a visual component. And now, when I say that, I don't just mean a logo, right? I mean, you guys in this industry do some great work that only translates visually. That's why Bill does a couple of classes for us on photography. Bill, if you didn't know, is a professional photographer, and he teaches people how to take better photographs, because the photographs, especially something like a before and after of your work, are crucial to showing people what you do and how well you do it. You can speak to me all day long about, hey, I won this award, or I did this great house in Barrington. It was, cedar, blah, 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 and in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's nice. But now you show me a picture of that same thing, and I'm like, holy cow, that's gorgeous, right? What a difference it makes. It is so true. A picture's worth 1,000 words, and in this industry, it's even more important, because this is your craft, right? And your craft is in some ways like a piece of art, and you need to show that art to people to get them to appreciate that you do what you do so well. So when it comes to signage, I mean, the visuals are important, but also the words are a little bit important too. And let me tell you why. Because there's a lot of booths, right? People are going to be walking up and down these aisles, and they're going to want to know, who are you? What are you doing? Right? So War and Peace on your visuals, not a good idea. Less is more. You want to keep this very, very simple. It's like, who are you? What do you do? Maybe then how you benefit. You don't even necessarily need that, because it could be self-explanatory, but who you are, what you do. A lot of practices over the years say you shouldn't have more than 6 words per line, just kind of a psychological thing of people be overwhelmed by too many words. And if you show, like, if you have a product, it's one thing to show a, I don't know, a blender. Let's just talk about a blender, right? Because that's something people might buy at a home show. So you get a picture of your blender. But Bill, would you agree that if you have somebody, an actual person using that blender, that's more enticing to somebody walking by?
Absolutely. People want to see what it looks like in use. They want to know how it's going to make them feel, how it's going to benefit them, and that all can be conveyed through a picture. So,
and if it's a good enough picture, what'll happen is people will be drawn in. And here's what happens with product pictures, like the ones Bill takes. If you have a picture of somebody using the blender,
yep,
what happens in your mind as you walk by is you picture yourself as that person.
Yep.
Saying, oh, that could be me. She's smiling. She's pressing the button that says more margarita. Whatever. I don't know.
Feels like my
hi,
kind
margarita.
of blender.
I was talking about the other margarita. So whatever it is, it draws you in. So if you have pictures of people, that can draw people into your booth or into your sign. Brand consistency is number 4. Yeah, if your logo and your font and your brand colors for whatever your business is, ABC Construction is like the black and gold of the Boston Bruins or Bryant College, then you wouldn't want to have a backdrop that's purple, right? It's not congruent. I mean, Bill laughs, but I mean, we've seen everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just not congruent to your brand. Your brand is what your brand is, and colors are an important part of your brand. Whatever your color is, like we have the blue in our logo. That's one of our brand colors. So that particular shade of blue should be replicated in many other things that we do, whether it's the tablecloth on our exhibit table or signage. It needs to replicate that and have that same look and feel. If suddenly you saw a Reba logo that was orange, you would say, is that the same organization? Right? Not really sure, right? So that you don't want people to have that disconnect. You don't want to confuse people. Is this the same company I did business with? You want that consistency, that congruency of your brand. And you do that by making sure you follow whatever your brand colors are. And I know this is getting, we touch up, but it sounds like marketing, but it is, right? Because really what we're talking about today, a trade show is part of your marketing. So you want to have good marketing principles. And one of those things is having brand consistency. being seeming like the same company. All right, enough on that. Photographs are going to be big on your backdrops. And Bill, can you just talk a little bit about the difference between like a photo on your backdrop and like something on your web page?
Sure. Website photos tend to be a little bit lower resolution because you want them to load quickly. If you have a huge photo you're trying to put on your website or on social media, your potential customer is going to walk away in the time it takes to download it. Whereas signage for a show, you want to have that as high resolution as possible because you're making that into 2 feet wide by 8 feet tall. So you want to make sure the resolution is high enough quality that it's not going to look like, for those of you who remember the old Pac-Man, the pixelated Pac-Man character, they'll look pixelated if it's blown up too large. So you really want to be conscious of the resolution of the photography you're using for banners and for backdrops. So you want to have it as high a resolution as you possibly can. Of course, you want to talk to the printer that's going to be printing your backdrops for you. They're going to give you the best proper resolution. May I add one more thing to that, Bob, if you don't mind,
Sure.
about not only high resolution, but, and I think you touched on it a little bit, high quality photographs. I often get to talk to a lot of the contractors that come through these classes about completed project photos. And there is nothing that can make, and I'm going to use a kitchen as an example, a high quality, beautiful looking kitchen remodel. There's nothing that can make it look worse than poor quality photographs, bad lighting, bad camera angles, bad everything. So you want to really, when you're marketing yourself from that standpoint, you want to make sure the resolution is best as possible, and you also want to make sure it's a good quality, not necessarily a cell phone photo. Now, cell phones are getting better and better every day, but they still don't quite reach the quality of a high quality professional camera would be. So, definitely make sure that you have that good resolution because you want to look your best because let me add one last thing, and I apologize, Bob.
No, go ahead. This is important.
But when you're walking down, and I've been to many home shows, I've been to many different trade conferences. When you're walking down an aisle, a banner is going to catch your attention from maybe 3 or 4 booths away. So do you want to make a good impression or a bad impression from that 2 or 3 booths away? You want to capture their attention from that point. And if it's good quality, it's more than likely going to drag somebody over to that booth that may not necessarily even thought about it, but they see the picture and go, "Ooh, I need a new kitchen. Let me go see what this person has to offer." So just a couple of thoughts on my part.
Thanks, Bill. I mean, this is not, I'm thankful that you are here because the photography part of this is a big part of it. And Bill actually is doing a class on February 2nd about taking better quality pictures with your cell phone. As he was mentioning, the cell phone is really improved a lot in recent years, where you can take really, really high quality photographs from it, but you still need to know things like angles and lighting, and maybe a little bit about editing. In order to be able to get the most out of that great new camera you have. And so Bill does a great class. I would encourage you to come. But here's also the thing. Bill's class is so you can take better photographs for your work, and you should be taking better photographs for your work. You should be taking before and after shots of every job you can, unless somebody, a customer is against you doing that.
Sure.
And then use those as your marketing, put them on your website, etc. When it comes to a booth, I'm just gonna go that extra step here and say, consider hiring a professional photographer, because that booth, that one picture on your booth, or the however many pictures are on your booth, are going to be so important that they be not only good content and good composition, as you would say, Bill, but also good lighting and a good resolution. And Bill and people in his industry use cameras that can get off the chart resolution. Sure. Yeah. So and you need that because you're blowing, again, like Bill said earlier, you're blowing the picture up to a huge size. You don't want to all these little like dots. Remember the old dot matrix printers?
Dot matrix printers, yep.
Yeah, it's like we don't want it to look like that.
And
it's
the other
thing,
thing,
crisp and clean.
The other thing I would add to that is remember these are going to, unless you're changing what you do as far as an industry, these are going to be evergreen, which means you can use them in multiple shows. You don't necessarily have to just a one and done kind of thing. If you're a kitchen remodel and you stay in the kitchen remodeling sphere, you're going to be able to reuse those photos over and over again. So it's worth that investment of having somebody professionally do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so enough on the photography. Down to where are we at? Number 6. Okay, let's talk about the top 2 feet of it. Most booths are about 8 feet tall, and the most important territory is the top 2 feet of that. And why is that? That's because you have to account for the average person being about 6 foot tall or shorter, right? And so, in order to be seen, when people are walking, remember, there's a lot of people transgressing the aisles here, right? So they're walking, the people are in their way, there's people at the booths who are manning the booths. They want to see, like, who are you again? And so they're going to look up. They're going to look up above your head. And that's where the name of your company needs to be. And so I can at least see who you are and maybe a little bit about what you do, but at least see who you are. It's very important that that be towards, in my opinion, be towards the top. Also in the trade show and expo industry, there's a cute saying. They say anything below the waist is wasted, because any kind of great thing you've got that's below the belt down is never going to be seen, right? Because just too many people are in the way. So it's kind of a wasted space, and don't pay too much attention to that. You want to minimize clutter. Obviously, as I said before, you don't want War and Peace on this on these signages. You just want to keep it really, really simple. And if you can, position your signage so they get the message walking in different directions, because you never know. You've seen these trade shows, right? Sometimes people follow like a one-way traffic, right? But quite frequently they don't, right? So they're always like bumping into each other, right? So they're crossing. Well, as people are approaching your booth, think about this now. As they're approaching your booth, they can't really see the flatness of your booth. It's like two-dimensional. But if you have one of those beveled booths or something that has sides, then you can position those so that as I'm walking towards your booth, I can see part of your sign to see who you are, right? So you're marketing to me, you're getting my attention when I'm 10, 20 feet away. And I'd say, oh, there's Bill Parmentier's photography booth. I want to stop by over there. And so you see it before you even get there. Sometimes I have to be on top of the booth to see what the booth is. And by then, like, I'm already like distracted by something else, and I go right past it. So positioning the sign so you can get some sort of message from either direction is a good idea. So here's a couple of examples. The Ravina Solutions trade show. I'm not crazy about it, but I do like the fact that they had the 3 banners, right? So they could tilt in each of the banners so that I can see as I'm walking down from right to left. I'll probably see the one that says paperless admissions, and if I'm walking left to right, I'll probably see the one that says paperless progress reports. At the very least, I know they do something with paperless, right? I think the Ravina Solutions is a little bit low. I'd like to see that a little higher. But then they list a couple of the benefits. Now, if you do list benefits, anytime you list benefits, I don't care if it's verbally, in writing, or on a sign, you never want more than 3 benefits. The human brain is hardwired for the number 3. And so anything more than that is a complete waste of time. So they've listed 3 of the benefits of their paperless admissions, 3 of the benefits of their paperless progress reports. That's fine. It's not a perfect, I don't think it's a perfect one, but it's not a bad one either. They don't have any pictures on it, but that's okay. Maybe it's not appropriate for what they sell. One thing that kind of seems a little odd is they have their website at the very bottom, which, as we said, anything below the waist is wasted. So I'm not sure that I would go with that. I would rather see the URL maybe closer to the name. Put the name up a little higher and put the URL under it. but not bad. And you get the general gist of what they're trying to do here. Here's another one. This one does use the photography that Bill was talking about. This is good. Again, it's got those beveled sides, so I get a glimpse of what's going on as I approach your booth before I even get to it, no matter which direction I'm coming from. And when I get in front of it, I look up as I would do, and there's Mars Staffing. And then right below that, Quality Healthcare Staffing. Immediately, I know the name of your company and I know what you do. You provide staffing for healthcare facilities, right? And then there's some great pictures. And this is a case where pictures really tell the story, right? Because now you see the doctors, the nurses, people with interacting with patients, and you can visualize this happening right in front of you. So this is, I think, a good use of photography for a booth, and showing exactly what they do, and just the friendly faces. Because let's face it, if it's healthcare, yeah, it's important to be welcoming, and I think this sends that message. So is it a perfect booth? No, I think they got way too much writing on the bottom there. And that's kind of wasted. They could have that somewhere else, or actually not even on their signage. They could have it separately on a handout or something else. Tim Asimov is a marketing expert that I've read articles by, and I love this quote by him. He says, "Your booth is really intended to be a backdrop, not a brochure." So take those words to heart, please. Your booth is intended to be a backdrop, not a brochure. People walking by should be able to instantly recognize who you are and what you do. That's all. That's the whole game plan here. Who you are, what you do. And then it's the staff, it's the people's job to take it from there. So this is great advice. People tend to overpopulate. They're spending big money on this backdrop, right? I got to put everything on it. Here's the 10,000 things we do. That's the wrong idea, right? People aren't going to read it. So you want to draw people in, maybe with some good photography, name your business, what you do, keep it simple. Okay, after the signage, any questions on signage? Okay, so far we've talked about the pregame, letting everybody know that we're there. Then the signage, because that's a very important part of this, because people are, walking around. There's a lot of people there. They're looking at the signs to see who's there, right? So signage is important. And then after signage, people look at people. So they say, "Oh, Bill Parmentier Photography." And then their eyes go down. Who's at the table? Who's at the booth? Is it these guys? Because if it's these guys, you got a problem, right? You got the angry guy, you got the person who's distracted. No coincidence that she's the younger person, I think. Now we, as older folks, do this just as badly as the young guys. Right. So the angry person, the distracted person, or the shy person, none of those is really good, a good look, right? Because if people are interested in all right, I see your name. Oh, Joe's siding. I need siding. And they look down and they see this, they might just move on and go to the next siding company. You have to be inviting. You have to be inviting for people to engage with you in conversation. Did you have a comment, Bill?
No, I was just thinking, about the times that I've been at different trade shows, not just the home show, but I've been to other trade shows where I've seen exactly what you're talking about, where everybody that's manning the booths are looking at their phone. And it wasn't just a younger generation, it was older ones too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, do you really want to go over and talk to them? It's like
you feel like you're bothering them.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the last thing I want to do. So I've actually walked past booths at different trade shows for that very reason, because it looked like the people at the booth weren't engaging.
For those of you who are on this live, I just wanted to give you a heads up. It looks like we're going to finish early, which is why I didn't take a break. Yeah. I figure we'll just motor through and we'll finish in about 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
Just so you know what's going on, what to expect. All right, now here's somebody that gets it, right? If you smile and make eye contact with people, that means you're approachable. This is human interaction science. This is very simple. You want to make contact, eye contact with people, you want to be smiling, because that's a welcoming thing. People, if they're wanting to talk to you, they will absolutely go up to you if you do that. So what you want to do at a trade booth, a trade show booth, is look down to see who's coming up the aisle. And then when they get, 15 feet away from you or so, you smile, they make eye contact as they get closer, engage them in small talk. I don't like when I approach a booth and they say, "Hey, you need siding?"
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Why? You're gonna cut right to that? Really? You don't even know who I am, right? So why would you go right in for the kill? No, that's not how human conversation happens. Human conversation starts with small talk. You ever been in a grocery store? You've been in a line, it's really taken a long time, and you start having a conversation with the person who's in line with you, right? And what do you talk about? Say, boy, your surroundings, right? Boy, they must be short help here today. Or, geez, I hope I get home before the snowstorm comes, what do we call that? It's small talk, but it's fine, because if you don't know someone, what do you talk about? Things that you have in common. You don't know what you have in common yet. So you talk about things that are in the environment. You talk about the weather. You talk about the place. Hey, this is a nice show. What brings you here today? Hey, I like that hat you're wearing. These are things that you talk about in that kind of environment when you don't know the person that you're talking to. You don't start with, "Hey, you want to buy my stuff?" That's just rude, right? Let's have a casual conversation, and then you could lead into something like, what brings you to the home show today? Well, I'm not really looking for siding, Bill, but I was thinking about, I do need some new windows. Oh, you know what? Then there's a couple of great window companies in aisle 7. You want to make sure you check those out, right? That's it. You're friendly, right? Every interaction you have doesn't have to be a sale. But that person, after you have those niceties, that person might say, I'm thinking about siding, but can you tell me a little bit more about how much it costs? Yeah, well, let me show you this. Then you go on from there. It's simple, it's human, it's decent. That's all you need to be. You need to be a friendly person. If you're a friendly person, you're going to get a lot more out of life and a lot more out of a trade show than if you're just this aggressive or distracted or mean person. Remember, and this comes back to the fact that we're at an in-person event at a trade show. Remember that most of communication is non-verbal. Now, how much? It depends on which study you read. I've seen anywhere from 50 to 92, right? Big gap, depending on who's taking the study and what they're really looking at. But regardless of which study you look at, there is more nonverbal communication than there is verbal. What does that mean? That means that people are paying attention to the inflection of your voice, to your body movements, to your facial expressions, more so than the words that are coming out of your mouth. So why is that important? Well, if you're asking me about siding, and I'm enthusiastic and I'm smiling and I'm like, "Oh, we got some great stuff. We got some new stuff just came in. Let me show you about." And that comes through. That enthusiasm comes through, and it's actually kind of contagious, right? If, however, I know all the words by heart, and I just say, "Yeah, we have siding. We only do residentials of $175,000 or more." Blah, blah, blah. Forget it. My body language is not engaged with you. In my tone of voice, my facial expressions, none of that is engaged in a positive manner. So if you're in person with somebody, you've got to deliver. You've got to deliver. It's not just the words you say, it's how you say them, how you stand, how you position yourself, the facial expressions that you make. All these things are cues to people. So what I want you to do? I want you to be in front of your booth. Don't hide behind the table because the table is a barrier to body language, right? Be in front, if you can, be in front of your booth. Again, smiling and eye contact makes you approachable, makes you seem friendly, like you want to talk to you. Engage with them verbally, say hello. Yeah, again, don't say buy my stuff right away, right? Just say hello. Hey, how you doing today? You enjoying the show? Yeah, whatever, right? If they come up to you and introduce themselves, shake their hand. Now, shaking hands is back, I think. But it's be aware that there may still be some people who are a little leery of it. I would say if somebody comes in wearing a face mask, you're probably not going to want to shake their hand necessarily, because you might not because you're afraid of catching anything, but just because you want to be respectful for them. But certainly, if somebody puts their hand out, you should shake it. Questions to ask open-ended questions. Not the conversation gets very quick if you're asking me questions that can be answered by a yes or no. It's like, well, what kind of house do you have? What style? How old is it? We can elaborate, make them elaborate. And that ends up in a more verbal communication when you ask those open-ended questions. It's a really strong idea, and people can be funny about it, but grabbing somebody's contact information. Now, the best way to do that is to say, is to get next steps for follow-up, right? It's like, how do you want to go from here? We can call you, we can do that. It's a good idea. This kind of show, by the way, like I've been to a lot of business to business shows where they have the fishbowl, which I'm going to show you in a minute, where people have the business cards, right? This is a home show, so not everybody's going to have a business card. So you want to maybe have some little things to fill out, or maybe electronically, if you have like an iPad where people can just type in their information. Something like that can be really beneficial. Make it simple and easy for these people so that you can then follow up with them. Okay, what do I want you not to do? Obviously, don't look tired, don't look bored. Now, let me tell you, I've worked a lot of trade shows in my time, and I get bored out of my brain and tired. It's an exhausting thing. So this is why you want to make sure you have enough personnel on hand, because you say, Bill and I work in a trade show booth. I say, Bill, I'm just feeling really beat up. I just need to get my body moving. I'm going to walk around the trade show, or I'm going to go get something to eat, and Bill's going to cover for me. So having that kind of switching off back and forth, 3 people is even better, because then you always have 2 people at the booth. Which is handy, because sometimes it always seems like nobody comes to your booth, and then 5 people come to your booth at the same time, right? It's like drives you crazy. But if you stay too long, you're going to look tired or bored. You can't even help yourself looking tired or bored, because that's what you are. And so that's going to come across in your facial expressions, those nonverbal cues, and that could reduce your chances of success. Again, don't sit or hide behind a table. You can talk to each other, but if somebody's coming up the booth, stop talking. You're gonna have plenty of time with your compadre to finish that conversation about the horrible Pats game that you watched with that play. That's still bothering me, Bill. But
not too bitter about that, are you?
It kills me. You'll have plenty of time to talk about football or anything else when there's nobody there, as opposed to when people approach you. Just cut it short and don't have those long conversations with each other. In the same way, don't have those long conversations with too many people who are friends or vendors. So, a friend goes by, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time, high five, hug, whatever you're doing. And then pretty soon you're reliving your entire life history. Well, try to minimize that. Obviously it's great. Hey, let's catch up, let's have coffee, and 5-minute conversation, and you should be moving on. And of course, don't be on a phone or device, or if you have to be, try to do it indiscreetly. All right, when you're talking to a prospect, so now you've engaged somebody in a conversation, what do you want? What is it that you want to do in that conversation? Well, you probably have heard this idea that people remember stories. And again, the human brain is hardwired to remember stories. That's how information was passed before we had the written word, right? It was This generation told the story of X to this generation. They told that story to the next generation, and onward it goes. So telling a story, a short story, obviously, is a great way for people to remember the product. So this story can be like a mini case study. Well, Jill, I'm glad that you mentioned that you're having that problem with your drainage. Let me tell you about Sue, who is a client of ours who had that similar problem. Here's what we did. Blah 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 blah. Happy ending, right? Boom. She's going to remember the story of Sue more than she's going to remember you, the company, or anything else. She's just going to remember the story. So if you can position it as a story, no more than 7 minutes. Be aware of their body language. If you're not a good storyteller, or if the story's going too long and they'll get antsy, you can cut it short because you're getting in those cues. This is where an in-person thing can be very beneficial to you. You're getting those cues that this person wants to move on. Okay, let me get to the point, right? If you have key points or benefits, again, you always want to limit those to 3 because, that's the way we learn. That's the way we learn. And those 3 things should be benefits rather than, features, obviously. But those 3 things will be memorable because they're in groups of 3. Think about how many things are in 3. We have trilogies. We have the 3 Stooges. We have the 3 Blind Mice. We have red light, yellow light, green light. Everything's in 3s, and that's because it's easier for us to get our head around things that come in groups of 3. It's just from the human brain perspective, much easier. So you never want to go more than 3. And then, of course, again, capture their information. Let's talk for a second about freebies. Freebies are a very common thing. Bill and I kind of joked around earlier, talking about, how many stress balls do you need? How many pens that don't write can you give out, right? These are all nice little tchotchke things that people associate with trade shows. And promotional products are a really good thing for a trade show, but you're going to be better off rather than buying 10,000 stress balls. Be better off to buy a smaller number of something that's a higher quality. So in this industry, one of the things that I've seen done is a nice measuring tape, right? There you go. With branded logo on it, right?
Yep.
Right. There you have it.
I just happened to look over. I'm like, hey, I forgot I had that over.
Wow. We didn't even plan that.
I know, I didn't, not at all.
Right. But think about it. That's a nice branded item that's very relevant to your business. But don't, let's say you get a nice one, right? And it costs you maybe $5, right? And so now you're just going to put them out on the table, let people grab them. That's not what I would do. I would keep them under the table as separate. And as you approach me and we have a conversation, I say, hey, Bill, thanks for stopping by today. Hey, before you go, I had this little parting gift. And even if I didn't get your contact information, I give you this parting gift. Number one, that makes me look good, right? Because I gave you a gift. It's a nice gift. It's a utilitarian gift, means it has a usefulness. It's not like a stress ball, right? It has a usefulness. And guess what? It's got my logo and phone number on there. So that when you start using this gift in your home and you say, yeah, I remember I met those guys at the trade show. I didn't need Windows then, but I do need them now. Let me call these guys, right? I remember that nice guy I talked to at that booth, right? So promotional products can be a strong play. And if you want to do the tchotchke stuff, that's fine. But it's also a really good idea to have a nice gift, right? A nice little parting gift, like, hey, I got this nice thing I'd like to give you for stopping by our booth today. And doing something like that can be a real positive thing rather than, okay, where's your candy? Where's your pens? I'm going to grab whatever I can grab. The run by grab, they don't even know who they are, right? They grab and go. 5 pens because I need them for my kids, right? I need the stress balls for my dog, right? He's chewed up the last 27 I got at trade shows. So promotional products can be a strong play. Again, I would recommend that they be branded so that when people get back, they remember who gave it to them. It's good to have something that's functional, or we like to say utilitarian. has a high perceived value. That means you're giving something that's a gift, not a tchotchke. And it's better to be given rather than taken, right? As I mentioned, have the conversation and here's a gift for you. That puts me in it's a different transaction than just grab whatever you want, right? It's a different thing. It's gonna position me in your mind differently if I'm handing you a gift and saying thank you for coming by my booth today. And it doesn't always have to be relevant to your business, but it's nice when it is. Like the tape measure is a great idea, but also there's a lot of utilitarian things out there. Drinkables are very popular. Also, you know what's really popular is they don't show one here, but those like canvas bags. Those things are wicked popular now because first of all, they have a lot of space for a nice logo on it. But they're very functional because a lot of supermarkets aren't giving grocery bags anymore, and a lot of them not doing the old plastic bags anymore because of the environmental stuff. So people are using more and more of these things. So I think it's a nice gift. You make a high quality one with your logo on it. I think that's a great giveaway. All right, contests. Should you have a contest? Well, there's a lot of people that say yes and no on this. It is a way to engage more people and collect more leads. Okay. But the big question about the contest idea is what are you giving for a prize? All right. Sometimes people will say, I'll give you 10% off your next thing. Really? That's not much of a prize. Or they'll say, I'll give you $100 gift certificate to Capital Grill. Well, that's a good prize, right? So the prize has to be good, first of all. But I want you to understand something. The quality of the lead that you have in these fish bowls is going to be dependent on what the prize was. So what I'm telling you is like, okay, I got the $100 gift certificate, which everybody wants. So I get a whole bunch of business cards in my fish bowl, and I pick one out, and they get the $100 gift card to Capital Grill. I start calling these people to follow up from the trade show. None of them wants to do business with me. Why? Because what they wanted was a good meal. That they didn't want siding, they didn't want windows, right? So the prize, be careful if you do a contest, be careful of the prize and try to find a way to work the prize into something that is going to be complementary to what you do in terms of what your business is and what you're selling. Okay, because you'll be shocked to see how I got a, and I've had this conversation with so many people. Oh my goodness, it's like I had a horrible trade show. Oh, really? What'd you do? Well, I got like 100 different business cards from people that I followed up on, and none of them were interested in my product or service. Oh, and how'd you get those business cards? Well, I had a fishbowl. People threw it in. They wanted to win the dinner gift certificate. Well, maybe those people were just hungry. You know, they don't need your siding. They didn't need your windows, right? So it's not the best prospect for you if that's what you're leading with, if that makes any sense. So I don't think you have to do a contest, but some people like to do them. They can be fun. Just try to find a way to work it more into your business so the leads that you get from the contest are at least somewhat more relevant to what you do and sell, as opposed to just somebody who's looking for a free lunch. Literature. Oh, you know, it's like the stress balls. How many brochures do I need from you? You know, it always worries me when I go into a trade show or expo when people at the front desk hand me this big bag and they expect me to fill it up. So what do? I fill it up, I go home, it goes in a drawer, and it never gets looked at again, right? It's like people do not want to go to these home shows to carry around a whole bunch of stuff, even if they have a nice bag to carry in it. Sorry, that's not what they're there for. In fact, there's been a lot of statistics that have shown that 60%, most of the literature that is handed out at trade shows is thrown away the same day that they get it. Some people even throw it away at the trade show. Go through the wastebasket at the trade show. You see all these flyers. So be careful about brochures. It doesn't mean you can't have them, okay? But don't force them on people. You know, it's the old joke. Oh, please take my my brochures because then I don't have to carry them home, right? and you want to be a nice guy, so you take them and then you throw them away yourself. So it doesn't do anybody any good anyway, right? So only give literature to people who ask for the literature. Don't just hand it to them willy-nilly. If somebody's serious and they want to do an order form or something like that, uh, something small, business cards are great. Still, business cards are still great. And one of the reasons why business cards are still great is because you can take a business card and put it in your pocket. You don't even need a big bag to carry around it, right? So business cards are awesome. And it gives you everything you need, really. It's like, okay, here's Joe's business card. I talked to Joe at the ABC construction booth. I'm going to call Joe later, put it in my pocket, off and run it, right? If you give out hard copy literature at your trade show, consider doing something a little different. Instead of just the typical brochure, put something together that's more of an information guide. So if you put something together like 10 things to watch out for when siding your home, or 5 things to prevent your pipes from bursting, or informational things that have value to me. Because studies have shown that if you give me something of educational or informational value, I will tend to not want to throw that away, as opposed to a brochure that just says, hey, we do these 900 things and we do them better than anybody. Please call us now, right? Nobody wants that. But if you give me something that says, hey, 10 things that siding companies don't tell you. Oh, I want to read that because I'm thinking about siding my house, right? So I would take that and I would keep that because I find value in that. The other thing you can do is you can say, all right, if I can buy your booth, say, do you have like a catalog of the different types of siding that you have, or the different types of windows that I could look at? Well, we didn't bring any catalogs today. However, we'd love to mail you one, and we can send you either the PDF or hard copy. We're happy to send that out to you after. Guess what? That's a great way now. Now you have something to follow up with because they asked you for a catalog or they asked you for a specific brochure and you mail it to them. What a concept, right? Follow up. You're mailing them something afterwards that they asked for. And the chances are, if you do that, they're actually going to look at that more frequently than if they goes in the bag with 10,000 other things that they collected that same day. Okay. All right. One of the things, kind of a newer thing, I think, only since COVID. Bill's going to like this one.
QR code.
The QR code.
I actually do like the QR code. Yeah.
We love it. Well, it was in the early 2000s that a guy from Japan created the QR code. Interestingly enough, he created it after playing the game Go. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Go, but it's all these little pebbles that go on, black and white pebbles that go on a board, and it's a strategic game, more associated with Far East. But this guy, he saw that he worked in a I think it was an automobile parts company, and shipments of parts would come in with like 4 different barcodes on it. Like, this is crazy. You have to scan each one, right? It's like, this is crazy. This should be able to do one code that comprises all the information we need. And he created the QR code. It stands for quick response. Created it in the early 2000s. Guys like Bill and me in marketing, we were all excited. We thought, wow, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is going to be great for marketing, because this was a way to connect the tangible world to the virtual world, the real world to the digital world. This was a connecting point because we really needed that, right? Because everybody's digital now. We're digital right now at this moment, right? But everybody's digital now. But there's also a part of our world that's analog, and we need to find a way for those two things to be connected more frequently. QR codes represented the perfect way to do that. And guess what? It failed.
Big time. Yep.
It failed miserably. Nobody adapted the QR code back when it was created. Marketing people were all like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then nothing. Died a slow death. Then COVID happened. And all of a sudden, restaurants didn't want to hand you menus anymore and pass germs. So what did all the restaurants do? We all learned this, right? All the restaurants did was they put their menus on QR codes. So you walked in with, and by then everybody had the cell phone. Oh, and by the way, another part that made this possible was the iPhone, and I think the Android too, right?
Yep, they both did it.
Yeah, I think iPhone did it first. But iPhone created and you didn't have to get a separate app to read a QR code anymore. When QR codes first came out, you needed a separate app, right? Now you just put your camera on this thing and boom, website pops up and you see what it's all about. So this is my QR code, and I use it to get contact information. So you could do the same thing, something similar. QR codes are free, right? You just go find QR code generator, look it up online. You can find a bunch of different sites that will generate a QR code for nothing, right? And in this particular case, if you put your cell phone against this QR code, that page that you see on the right, my mailbox power contact information, that feeds directly into my CRM, my customer relationship management tool. So whatever customer relationship management tool you use, you can plug that in so that somebody coming by your booth can see the QR code, can click it, and can give you their information. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody knows how to use it on a QR code now because of COVID, right? And so this is a great way for information capture. Did you try it, Bill?
I did. You caught me.
I knew you did. I knew you couldn't resist.
I had to try it out. But you know, it was interesting. I've actually started to see at some trade shows where the vendors will have like a badge with a QR code on it or something like that people can walk by and now scan. And it may be take directly to the website or to a page like what you got there. It's pretty really
cool. Or a way to get the contact information into their phone.
Yep.
That kind of yeah, a lot of great uses for it, but consider doing it because it's so popular now. And listen, trade shows are just coming back in the last year or two, right? And this is something that pre-COVID didn't exist. So this is something you should take advantage of somehow, whether it's to get them the literature that they want, to capture their information, to, whatever it is, find a way to use a QR code because it's going to benefit you. And then, less things to carry too. All right. So the last part is the fortunes and the follow-up. Actually, this thing's going longer than I thought. Yeah, all right. So 70% of exhibitors have no process in place for organized follow-up after the event. And this is a big problem. What you want to do is you want to reach out to the prospect as soon as possible after the show, collect the information from the business card, any notes from your memory, put them in a database of some sort. Identify the hot prospects first and follow up with them right away. Indicate any agreed upon follow-up. So if you want to write this down, when you're talking to people, it's like, how would you like me to follow up with you? Because some people will say, well, text me. Here's my number. And other people will say, don't ever call me because I don't take phone calls. Or you email me. I'm big in email. Or don't email me because I get too much email. Everybody's got their preferences on communication. So make sure you identify those if you plan on a follow-up. If you don't plan on a follow-up, then use whatever you're using in general. Reference anything that was discussed. And then don't stop with one, because here's what happens. People do. And you've all seen statistics like this, where 48% of the people never follow up once. But then when they follow up once, and 25% never make the second one. And then it goes on from there. And you end up with only 10% have made more than 3 contacts with any one prospect. But look at the very bottom of this chart. You'll see that 80% of the sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact. There's a disconnect there, clearly. So you want to keep in touch with people. But how do you do it after that initial follow-up when maybe they're not ready to pull the trigger on a purchase? Well, Michael Port is the author of Book Yourself Solid. He said one of the things that he's learned is the most important thing to do is to stay in touch with prospects and other professionals that can send you business. And if you don't have a system for doing that, then you can't do it. It's not possible. So there's a couple of different systems that I've used in the past. I'll share them with you. I've used both Constant Contact and email, MailChimp for email marketing systems to keep in touch with people. A lot of people, 91% of people open their emails daily, 88% check the email on their smartphones. Percentage of you are probably doing that right now. uh, an email reaches 90% of their intended audience, as opposed to social media, which you still should connect with them on social media, but social media posts are not guaranteed to be seen by the people. So emails are a better shot of getting seen. So those are the two systems I use. There is a difference between regular emails and email marketing. The email on the left says the same thing as the email on the right. But if I look at the email on the right, it's a lot quicker for me to digest what I need to know. Oh, this is from Southside Cycling. I recognize them. I did business with them before. Oh, it's about new safety gear for kids. Either I say, oh, yeah, I need new safety gear for my kids, or I don't, and I delete it, right? Very simple. So marketing, and you need to do that with a platform. So either a Constant Contact or MailChimp are the best ones. Sometimes real mail is better, especially that initial thing. I can send a little thank you note. Thank you for stopping by my booth. If you find that handwriting a lot of physical cards is cumbersome, there are systems that I've used in the past, Mailbox Power and Send No Cards, which are online services that allow you to send out hard copy greeting cards, postcards, and letters. And Tom Hopkins is the guy I always point to who really made a career out of sending thank you notes. He sent thank you notes daily to people, and by the end of his third year in real estate, his business was 100% by referral. So please, the thank you note is universal and it should be used as much as possible. So thank people for coming by your booth and thank them again and again and again. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to quote you. Thank you for meeting with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is one simple thing. If you send a little thank you note, it's going to go a long way towards building your business. Our show is March 30th to April 2nd. And we hope to see you there. Before we go, I just want to introduce Megan. Megan Berridge is our director. Here's her information right there. I'm Bob Salvis. That's how you reach me. And that's Megan Berridge. You want to say hello, Megan, and see if there's any questions for you?
Yeah, I would love to answer any questions. My contact information is there. The show is going to be held March 30th through April 2nd, like Bob just said.
And how is the people are already signing up for booths, right?
Oh yeah, we're about 75% sold out.
Wow. All right, so
Yeah,
that really should be a call to action for those people who are on the fence.
Get in now.
Right. Yep, you want to get in and make sure you get. We still have good spots left, so. But for those of you who haven't signed up, make sure you do it soon so that you can get, a great location, which is an important part of exhibiting in the show, is to have a good space.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really dive into that too much, but yeah, that's really key. And talk to Megan about what spaces are available. I know one question that I've gotten from people is what's the average, just a regular booth, not a corner one, but what's the average cost of a regular size booth? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Yep. It's $1,665.
Okay, good to know. So so there you have it. There's the base cost, and there's so much to be benefited here from, guys. I mean, it's just, I really hope that you'll consider this and consider, trade shows and expos as a part of your marketing. Show like this only happens once a year. But literally, I've seen people carry the business leads that they've got from a show through the entire year. So it may be a big chunk right now, but it's something that if you do it correctly, you're going to have business coming to you over the course of the entire year, and then you'll come back again because you were so successful the first time.
Right.
Yep.
Did you have any questions, Bill?
No, I think you hit all the questions. I'm looking to see if there's anything. Oh, let's see here. Oh, Laura said USA Installation is signed up and looking forward to participating this year. And thanks for the great.
Hi, Laura.
See, we already get somebody here signed up. That's awesome.
All right, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. All right, well, if there are no other questions, I think we can wrap this up, Bill. I want to thank you guys for coming out. We're going to make this recording available if you have to step away or missed any part of it. Usually we make it available only for 1 week, but because we have the trade show coming in the spring and a lot of people are interested in this information, we're going to make it a little bit more evergreen, and it'll be available probably until the spring. So if people want to review this information, if they have any questions about the information that was presented, there's my contact information. Or if you need questions specifically about the home show, how it works, or how to get a booth, or just to sign up, you can reach out to Megan. Her contact information is there as well.